Perfect. Zeus, it is such a pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us at the DaoLens Discord space. And thank you everyone who is tuning in. Kilua, I see you're a new person here. Welcome. Guys, the session will be hosted by me and Apoorv here. And just want to say a big welcome. Hey. Zeus, if you have any opening thoughts, or if you just want to say hi to everyone before we start with the questions.
Sure. Thank you so much for the invite. Thank you so much for having me. I'm super happy to be part of the podcast series. I remember when we talked for the first time that actually I was really aligned with the name of the podcast, Humans of DAOs, because I think like people should be always the core building block of whatever technology we're using, and it's really about the community effort, contributions, and connections. So I'm glad to be a part of it.
Thank you so much. Zeus, it's such a pleasure to have you. Apoorv, do you want to say hi to everyone?
Yep. Hey everyone, super glad to have you here, Zeus. I think this is going to be like an interesting session. Just with all the context of like Snapshot and Kevin DAO and all the amazing things that you've been a part of already. So super excited to have you here, and let's get started.
Amazing. Zeus, so initially we were doing a 30-second session, right? Like explain to us what Snapshot in 30 seconds. But we just realized that Snapshot is so amazing on its own, and how we don't want to restrict it to 30 seconds. So feel free to take your time on these questions. And in the first section, I want to cover everything about Snapshot, right? So I want our viewers to understand how has Snapshot enabled gasless transactions and gasless votings. So it is super of an amazing concept, and I'll give you the mic now. So what is Snapshot and how does it work?
Okay. Just a disclaimer, if we were to talk about Snapshot, how it works, what it's possible in there, we would need a full hour to talk about that. But to give you an overview, a definition, Snapshot is an off-chain voting platform that is allowing DAOs, different DeFi protocols, communities in the NFT space to vote in a very easy, intuitive manner, and also without any gas fees. So what is really important is that Snapshot is free to use, apart from setting up an ENS domain. We can go into that in a second. But something that's really important to realize is that Snapshot allows really high customization of the voting process. And we are not enforcing any specific way that the organizations and users can vote, but we allow them to use a variety of different voting strategies and voting validations that are already created, or actually can be also created by the organizations themselves, to make sure that the platform caters for their needs. In terms of how it works, maybe from a user perspective, if you are a founder, member of an organization, you can create your own space on Snapshot in a very easy process. What you need is the ENS domain that you have to pay for, but it's not really related to Snapshot. What we do is that we link the space to the ENS domain, which is also part of making sure that the organization that we're dealing with is not fake, and there's actually something going on there. And during the space creation process, you will have to also define a controller of the space, so who is like the owner that can change the settings. And while creating the space, we can also adjust different things like the profile of the space, the name, the description, categories, and actually the most important part, so how the voting process should be executed, how it should take place. So basically, what you can do is to define how the voting power of the users will be calculated. And this is, again, a very flexible setup. We have something called voting strategies, which define how that voting power is actually calculated. And the spaces can combine up to 8 different strategies, which are cumulative, to make sure that we can take into account different aspects, for example, of the tokens or the NFTs that the users are holding. The other thing we can set up during the creation process are different validation strategies, which will define who can actually vote or create a proposal. And this is more designed for prevention of the Sybil attacks. So basically, what you want to make sure is that bots are not participating in the voting process. You can set up a validation which is based on the Gitcoin passport. So basically, a Gitcoin passport where you can collect different stamps that prove, we hope, that you're a human. And apart from that, other settings related to who can create proposals. So we have authors who can actually also take part in editing the space settings, so admins. And you can also add different plugins that extend the functionality of Snapshot. And then once the space is created, users who are eligible to it can create proposals for their space. And for those proposals, they can provide a title, description, and also select a specific voting system. Voting system meaning, is it a single choice voting, so you can select only one option out of 3? Is it weighted voting, where the voting power is distributed? Is it quadratic voting, where we are using the quadratic computation of the votes so that actually the amount of votes for a specific choice matters more than the total voting power? And once the proposal is created, then the end users can actually cast their votes. And voting is completely free of charge. What we have to remember is that at this moment, Snapshot is an off-chain voting platform, so we are not executing transactions on-chain. This, however, is going to change in the future with our next release. Some exciting stuff coming up soon. And yeah, I think I covered majority of the user journey. Of course, once you voted, you can also share your decision on social media to promote the participation and the overall voting process for your organization.
Awesome. Yeah, so I mean, gasless voting is such an interesting and important concept. I think it has enabled like thousands of people who would have never voted otherwise, just due to gas fees, to just participate in so many different governance processes. So we'd love it if you could go a little bit into the details of how Snapshot really enables gasless voting, right? Like you have this off-chain voting system, but does anything at all go to the blockchain? How are the proposals executed? Things like that.
So at this point, with the current version of Snapshot, everything is happening off-chain. And users are signing free messages, which are not creating any gas costs, in order to execute different actions on Snapshot, like, for example, proposal creation or voting. And as we're not storing our data on the blockchain, but we still want to allow for that trustless environment where users can actually verify what has happened without needing to trust Snapshot saying like, don't worry, we've taken care of that, everything is fine, you can trust us. They can actually verify what has happened on IPFS, where we are basically storing all the different user actions, whether it's proposal, spaces, votes. And our infrastructure allows for without unproblematic pinning of that information on IPFS. And the same data is also stored in a MySQL database, which can be also accessed through our API.
Right. So the trustlessness essentially is brought in by making everything transparent and just making sure all of the data is available on IPFS, right? And for those who don't know, IPFS itself is a decentralized file storage system, which sort of brings in a little bit of decentralization without involving blockchains, right? So that's super interesting. You also mentioned that in the next version of Snapshot, we are or Snapshot is bringing in the ability to have on-chain voting as well. I would love to know a little bit more about that.
We realized over time already over a year ago that on-chain voting is something that is really necessary in this space to allow for the trustless execution. What happens right now is that when a proposal is passing on Snapshot, we hope that the proposed action will actually happen, but it's always up to the organization. What is possible right now is to connect a multi-sig wallet with Gnosis Safe by using the plugin that we have for that. And after the proposal has passed, the team managing the wallet is responsible for actually executing that transaction. This, of course, may happen or may not happen if the team decides to not proceed with the action that was voted upon. And here comes the on-chain voting, which will allow the actual trustless execution. And if you maybe did some research on snapshots, we've been already talking for some while about Snapshot X, which will allow the execution on Ethereum. We will be also able to provide the solution for different layer 2 DAOs. So we want to really provide a comprehensive product that also the community will be able to contribute to. But don't want to give too much details at this time, but I hope that you should be able to hear some news quite soon.
Yep, that would be super exciting. Yep, Devika, we can move on to the next set of questions.
Thank you. And Zeus, you were explaining how you had one of the most wonderful experiences at Cabin DAO recently, how you were part of, one of the beautiful cabins with the community. And that brings me to my next question, how you were telling me this whole story. What is one practical application of Snapshot, if you would like to tell our audience?
Yeah, super happy to share the cabin story because I actually just came back from a co-living, co-working project with Cabin. When we were all together in Azores from the project team, we hopped on a community call with people from all around the world, where we went together through a proposal on Snapshot and all the different possible choices. It was about choosing basically a resident, a person that can spend a full month in the neighborhood zero. Probably if you listened to one of the previous podcasts, you learned a little bit more about Cabin. So it was about reviewing the profiles of different people that were applying and deciding on who will be the person that will be actually chosen and can go to the neighborhood zero. And what was really special for me about that was really a huge community effort to come together and get interested in what is going on within the DAO, within the group, and to actually push the community to participate in the voting and to use the tokens that they received. Because actually in Cabin, you can't really buy the token, you rather receive it as a reward for your contribution and participation. So having that group activated to come together and actually do something that's very digital in order to enable a physical result, which is just a person going to the community space in real life, was something very special for me, because I'm also very much a person who really values the in-person, face-to-face interactions. rather than just being stuck to the screen at all times.
Thanks so much for sharing that story. I think it's absolutely amazing. And one of the most brilliant things that has come out of Web3 in Cabin DAO is one of the best DAOs, I feel like, who's really seen what is a community capable of and what are they capable of transitioning something into the real world. Such an amazing experience. Thank you so much for sharing it. Apurv, on to you.
Awesome. So, I mean, it's really interesting that you mentioned Cabin DAO because they are doing some super good work, but the one interesting thing that I find and that you mentioned is you don't really buy Cabin tokens, you essentially earn them through contributions, right? And this sort of brings me to one sort of issue that has been happening in different governance systems so far where you can buy tokens. The thing is, there are whales who can essentially buy a ton of tokens and they sort of have so much voting power that everyone else's votes become irrelevant, right? And we can even see examples of this in a couple of proposals that have been happening so far, where the community had certain votes and certain inclinations, but there were like one or two whales who essentially just bulldozed through the entire process, right? So I would love to know if Snapshot has been thinking about some anti-whale strategies or variations in like the voting mechanisms or how voting power could be calculated to sort of combat these.
Yeah, sure. In general, the problem of the big whales is a very broad and complex topic. And there has been a couple of strategies that have been being developed, which are already available in Snapshots, and also different plugins and setups for the voting process. However, we always need to be aware that this is possible to happen if someone is also persistent enough. But one of the things that the spaces can do is to choose the quadratic voting system, which I mentioned before. So where actually it's the amount of votes rather than the total voting power placed on a specific option that counts. The other thing is a solution that we recently implemented with Shutter, which is shielded voting, which basically hides the vote results before the proposal has ended. So basically, if there's a big whale coming into the proposal to take it over, they can't actually see what is the current result of voting, because for other proposals you can clearly see what is the current status. In terms of shielded voting, the results are hidden, so that it's difficult to assess if my voting power is actually enough to overhaul the decision or not.
So has the shielded voting is something really interesting. I'm just wondering if it has been impactful or successful in actually combating the whale strategy, since theoretically a whale could use all of their voting power to still make sure that the decision goes their way, even if like the current status of votes is for or against their own decision, right?
Yeah, definitely. It's difficult to say at this moment, really. We haven't done a proper research when it comes to the shielded voting itself. And I think it's really up to any individual space also to define what is their setup in case of the voting process. I had something in mind, but actually it ran away from my head when it comes to the whales. Maybe it will come back a bit later.
No worries. I'm also really curious because we mentioned that keeping everything transparent is sort of one of the key features or key pillars of how Snapshot maintains some form of trust, right? So how does shielded voting really work when you're putting all of the votes on the IPFS system, which anyone could really browse through? are the votes sort of like, is there a delay in pushing them towards the IPFS system, or what does really happen?
So they are already pushed to IPFS. However, they are encrypted. So the actual result of the proposal is calculated at the point when the proposal has ended and has been finalized. And then once the votes are revealed, they are again accessible by anyone.
Awesome. That is super good to hear. Devika, on to you.
Thanks. Apu, what an amazing question. That was a really, really good question, and that just shows how you understand so much of the technicalities of it. Just before that session on pen and paper, Apu was trying to tell me like, hey, Devika, Snapshot's amazing, this is how it works and stuff like that. I was asking him, man, what is IPF and stuff like that. So it's really, really brilliant to see what you guys have executed and how massive of a contribution you've made to get so many people onboarded. And one thing was super fascinating for me was we say that, you know, Snapshot's code is transparent. It encourages people to build on top of it instead of like competing with each other. So why is that the case? Why do you encourage people to build on top of you?
Well, first of all, we do strongly believe in open source, which is basically one of the leading values in blockchain in general. Like the blockchain itself is open source. You can verify all the contracts, all the code is transparent, which is very important where we don't have any middlemen and any intermediaries. We have to trust what is actually written within the logic that will be executed. And same goes for governance in general. What you want to make sure is that the process is performed in the correct manner, that no one is messing around with the voting results. That's why we want to make sure that everyone can have a look at the code. And actually also for many users, it's not even about looking into the code because many people won't be able to understand it. But just the fact that you are open to exposing it is giving them the confidence that if it's out in the public, I can probably trust it, and there will be people who have a look into it. In terms of the contribution, as I said before, Snapshot is highly customizable. And basically at this point we have over, I think, 400 voting strategies, which allow for a very specific setup for strategies that are taking into account custom tokens, custom networks, and so on. And through the contribution, instead of building a whole new product and starting from scratch, you can contribute to a mechanism that is already proven by hundreds of thousands of users who are all adding their brick one at a time to make that tool more useful and actually more flexible when it comes to the organization needs. And also usually what happens is that if you have a specific issue, if you have a specific need, most probably there was already someone before you who had the same problem. And what you can do is to, instead of building a whole new solution, you can actually reuse what was already built.
Absolutely, couldn't agree more. I love this. This is so important. I feel like a lot of people forget, they start competing with each other. But I think building on top of each other and supporting each other is one of the most amazing concepts that have come across because of Web3. And piggybacking off of that question, we have built on top of Snapshot. So I think coming back to the exciting part where you get to take on DaoLens' DAO Manager, this newest tool that we've built. I know how you've been in the tech space for such a long time, and the amazing contributions you've had at Snapshot and other places itself. I feel like your take, your insights would be extremely, extremely valuable for us and would be a really fun way for you to like play around with the tool, and we want to do this live. So let's hop on to the fun segment. Guys, I will stop screen sharing my screen so you'll stop seeing me. Zeus will start sharing her screen where you can see the DAO Manager. So let's get started. Very excited, a little nervous, but quite excited.
All right. So, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can. Boom. Yes, we can.
Okay, fantastic. So, where do I start?
Oh,
Where should I go
Zeus,
first?
1 second. I can see your screen, but I guess the others can't see your screen. Guys, in the chat, can you please let me know if you can see the screen? Just like drop a thumbs up or something. Oh, they can see it. Okay, okay, okay. Great.
Okay.
Yes, yes. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you so much. Perfect.
All right, amazing.
Perfect.
So how do we do it? Can you let me know how do we go through this process? Because I've seen that the app is really complex, so we could spend a lot of time on it. But is there anything specific you would like to hear from me personally?
For sure. So we have our product guy Pritish, who's also one of the most brilliant people I know. Pritish will give you a guide, like he'll kind of guide you through, explain you a little bit about the product, and based on that you can touch, test, click on things, and like don't forget to roast them. But yeah, you could do that. Pritish, you can unmute
Alright.
yourself and say hi to everyone.
Hi everyone. I'm audible?
Yes, you are.
Yes.
Yes. So, like we want to begin as like you are like a case study kind of thing. Okay, where you are a community, you have a community which you want to onboard on a platform. You're searching for a platform which can help you run your operations very smoothly. So for first 2 minutes, I want to it's like you go through the platform on your own, trying out the things. Okay, and I will pitch in middle like what are you trying to do? So it's just like a session where you are walking through things and speaking what is in your mind going when you are clicking the things what you want to do, and I will pitch in the middle to help you out on that front.
Okay. So I want to set up my organization.
Yes.
Let me have a look.
And Zeus, just like in 1 second, do you know what the DAO manager is about, or should we just explain it to you in one sentence?
You can explain it to me in one sentence. That would be great.
Okay, so right now DAOs use like different toolings for their operations, right? For voting they use Snapshot, for discussions they use Discord, for payouts they use Nurses, for bounties they use some other stuff, for task management they use some other stuff, right? Everything different. DAO manages all these tasks under one umbrella. So on one platform you do everything. So basically, like for when it comes to voting and stuff, you can integrate with Snapshot and bring your stuff here. Like you can do like a lot of migration stuff here, and you can bring your community here essentially. So that's what the DAO manager is all about.
Amazing. I always have that problem with traveling because I feel like when I plan for my travels, I use like 20 different apps and I don't have one when I can have everything in one place. So
DAO manager.
totally get where you're coming from. All right.
Yeah, let's start.
So I want to set up my community. I can see myself actually. Can I click on that?
Please.
I click on that. I can see my face. Amazing. So I can see that I'm currently in the DaoLens events community. Let's go back to the homepage maybe. Okay. That's cool. So I know clearly how I can go. It's actually a design very similar to Snapshot, so I let me click the add community button and I can see now that I can sign in. It's cool that you're actually enabling users to log in with different tools. So we have Discord, we have wallets, we have Google. Maybe you could give me a bit of an explainer. What is the difference if I connect with Google or with my wallet?
There is basically a difference, and like once you connect with MetaMask wallet, the account will be created, and there are integration in your profile that you can add Discord, Wallet Connect, and other platforms as well. So you don't go on creating the multiple account. Okay, we will tie every connection to one account only itself. Okay, so Discord we selected because mostly the communities are in Discord, so we have provided this functionality. Okay, and for the decentralization purpose, as MetaMask is being used really among the users, we have allowed users to just go through the MetaMask as well. So if they don't want to connect their Discord, don't want to add bots, don't want to use Gmail, they can just use MetaMask and their wallet address.
Okay, and is MetaMask obligatory if you sign in with Discord?
No, anyone is fine. Even if you don't connect your wallet on any other thing, still you can do most of the stuff. Yes.
Okay. Okay. I'm asking because in order to vote, if you have Snapshot integration, you need to have your wallet connected so that the voting strategy can actually check. So I guess this will be like a trigger to connect at the time of voting.
Yes,
Right, let's connect with MetaMask. I don't know if you can see my multiple screens, but okay, I'm logged in now.
Yes.
Yes.
How can I see that I'm logged in? I can see here. Okay, there is a profile, my profile. Let me have a look. So here, what you said, what I can connect.
Yes.
First comment here, let's make this aligned because all of them have very different width, so it would be great to have them displayed. For example, like here, so actually the buttons are aligned well, however you want to center it or on the side. Great. So what I want to do is then again create the community, right? I can import it from Discord, I can create from scratch, cool, so I'll create it from scratch. And the community name will be Zeus DAO. It's a great community. All right, can I actually use Markdown? Let me have a look. All right, cool, that's nice. All right, and where do I go next? Ah, okay, I can see it here. Sorry, I have a second screen and the button was hidden behind my laptop. So maybe one piece of advice, have the button maybe somewhere else in case someone has a laptop covering their second screen. It's difficult to see.
Yes.
Perfect. I like that we have the preview here right away. So I can actually see how the description will look like. Let's go next. I'm a DAO, so it's pretty intuitive. You probably need to give more space to the social and others because I can't see the descriptions and the buttons are covered by...
Actually, it's scrollable.
Is it?
No.
Okay. So as a user, I would expect that I can just hover on the side and scroll it down here. Well, I actually need to go over the cards. So I'll probably display it as a whole.
Okay.
All right. I don't have a website yet. I can give you my Twitter, which will be focused, which will be definitely posting much more about Zeus DAO in the future. Let's go next. Okay. So what I can do now is to create the first post or skip the portal. Let's say I will create a new post. And what is a channel? What is a post? What is the difference between the two?
The channel is like a Discord channel only itself, okay, where you want to have a discussion, you create posts in that channel to start or initiate discussion, which you will take forward to do things in your community or maybe just get certain outcomes.
Okay.
From the data.
So, I get it. Okay, so then I think it would be great to have a little bit of information, like a tooltip, a hover explaining what that is, because I clicked create a post and you're asking me to create a channel. So the flow is not really that clear. So it would be great to have more details there. All right, add some life to your post. Claim your NFT. Let's do it. So, what happened here? I need to post down. I'm gonna say the first post. Can I tag everyone?
Yes.
That's cool. I am not expecting that. So well done. Do you have more tags here? Can you create roles?
As people will join, you can tag individual as well. Okay. and you can tag them on a basis of, I guess, rules also are provided if you have added Discord.
Okay, that's really cool. One thing I would say here, a lot of white space below here, the markdown menu. So definitely redesign this a little bit so that users are not trying to click and actually they can see what is the input field that they can use. Okay, let's post. I appreciate the GIF here after I posted, but I would rather expect to be redirected to the actual post in the channel, because usually what you want to see is like you want to have the confirmation that it actually exists and that it works. Here I can go back to the platform, and what I would like to do is to see the channel. Where are the channels though?
Okay, it's hidden, I guess. Yeah, can you let me guide you here. So can you click the triple dot beside invite button?
Mm-hmm.
Go to the settings.
Mm-hmm.
Go to visibility.
Mm-hmm.
Can you switch on the discussions tab?
Mm.
So it's a bug, I would say. Yes.
Okay, now it makes more sense. All right. So I think the feedback here is pretty straightforward. If you ask the user to create a post, then the discussions should be visible right away. If this is especially the first action you're asking to perform. But then, okay, so what you wanted to do there is to actually do like a little tutorial for the users how to use the discussions, right? Because I can see that the other channels are already created.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yes.
So I'd also love for you to maybe join in an existing community and maybe like create a proposal or bounty. They already have something. So you can go on Discover and you can join DaoLens events. That is where our event was listed. It's the second community.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah.
And then proposals. All right.
Pritish, can we give Zeus the admin permission so maybe she can create stuff?
Yes, sure.
I can try. Maybe I can try to vote in the meantime. How can I vote? I can see that the proposal is still active for 55 years, but I cannot.
You haven't joined the community. Can you click on the join at the DaoLens, top of the DaoLens event?
Yes. That's not super clear, but I think you need some kind of like a trigger, like, hey, if you want to vote, make sure to join. Because also this button, the placement of the button might be a bit tricky because you'll have different backgrounds from the users. If I post my holiday photo of the sky with that kind of blue, no one will be able to notice that.
Yeah.
But okay, we are now. I have joined. Okay. And I was redirected again to the community space. So it would be great to stay in the space where I click the join actually, so I don't need to go back and forth. Yeah. And now let's go to the proposal. Let's say yes, we can vote. And I can now, okay, I have one vote. Can you tell me how was this calculated?
Okay, so in this front, I think all members have a single vote, right? When you create a proposal, so we set what kind of voting mechanism that you want. Each voter needs to have a single voting power. Okay, so this is what was selected in this option. I will create you an admin and you can go through that flow as well.
Okay, so I think it would be great to see or have a link to the strategy that was used here so that I can understand why actually my vote is one vote. Because a question that we often get from our users is why is this my voting power or why I don't have the voting power? And giving more information about what actually happened, why this is displayed, would be super useful. All right, so let's vote. I don't know if you can see my screen with the wallet. but I'm signing a message right now. And my vote is in. Perfect.
Yay!
Yes. Now, if you will go to the yeah, you can change the vote as well.
Okay, so I can change the vote. All right.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you will go to the proposal sections again, if you go back,
Yeah.
you are an admin now, I guess. Wait. I am adding the ENS as well so that you can create a proposal.
So maybe I can refresh.
No, I just want Devika, can you provide me the ENS for DaoLens?
The ENS for DaoLens?
Any ENS that is there that we can test it out?
You can try mine. You can try dimsums.eth.
Yes.
That's
Maybe
good.
if you could tell us what is happening right now.
Can you refresh it again?
Yes.
Okay, you are able to see your ENS, right? Wait, just give me 1 minute.
I can see that I can create a proposal now.
Yes.
Yes,
Which
so
one?
try to create the yes. And the proposal is directly a two-way link to the snapshot. If you are creating any proposal in that ENS on snapshot, it will be reflected here, or any proposal that you are creating here will be reflected automatically on a snapshot.
Okay. And just a question so I can understand better. Can you create a space on DaoLens directly, which will be created on Snapshot? Or do you have to create a snapshot first and then link it on that manager?
So right now the flow is like you should have a space created on the snapshot, but we are changing the flow right now that after a week you will be able to create space directly from here as well.
Okay, cool. So you're actually using one of also one of our libraries, the Snapshot
Yes.
data. Okay,
Exactly.
amazing. No, I think like keeping users here to perform all the actions is like the goal of the platform, right? And still they can, I think it would be cool to add a link to Snapshot so that users can actually see that this is included on the Snapshot space, and it's actually easy to verify that it's not just the implementation of the DaoLens Manager only, for more credibility.
Yes.
For
All
sure.
right.
Thank you, Zeus, for doing this. Do you want to like click on more buttons and stuff like that? Feel free to. Otherwise, this was also like, what is your overall feedback based on what you're seeing, what you did, what was it able to do? You were super polite,
I
so there
think-
was no roasting that happened.
Sure. I think the platform has a great potential, especially that you're basically using existing solutions which have been proven by the users, by the communities, and bringing the functionality in one place, which is really super cool. There is of course quite a lot of work to be done still with the design, with the flow. With also, I noticed one thing when I was going through the platform before, that you can actually try to cast the vote when you don't have a voting power. You still send the message, but then nothing happens because there is an error in the console. So you guys can have a look at that to make sure it's not possible. But yeah, I think like this session is amazing because you actually get the user feedback straight away, and with that you'll be able to improve really quickly. So really looking forward to how it will look like in the nearby future.
Thank you.
So we have also created a Discord space disk in discussion channel. Okay, for the review. Once you if you will go through that discussion channel, we have created Discord space disk. Yes. So we have created questions and polls in the discussion channel, like how will you rate snapshot integration on DAO Manager? If you will open it, any post you can open it. So there is a voting mechanism, like it's a soft voting that we are doing on the backend just to store. So if you can provide after exploring the platform your vote and your suggestions in the comments, okay, we will really like to take it forward.
Okay, with my previous experience from before this call, it was a little tricky. So definitely still work to be done there, but definitely going into the right direction.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for casting your vote, Zeus. Thank you so much for doing this. It means the world to us. This product is super close to us, and we're really trying to solve the problem of making sure that being in the space of DAOs is like more and more easy for more and new people to onboard. And I feel like having people use one platform instead of multiple gets us like one step closer to simplifying the Web3 space, you know, for rest of the communities out there. So thank you so much for doing this. It means the world. Apurv, I would let you take it forward for the next question.
Right on. I mean, I'm super grateful to you for providing us this raw feedback. I think we're gonna be working on each one of them just to make sure everything gets smoother and better from here on. But so back to our sort of questions around like the current systems of voting, right? Like we talked about the whale problem, an overlapping problem over there is sort of one of voter apathy, right? Like where most people who have tokens or who are members of a community do not tend to vote on most proposals, right? I would love to hear your thoughts on it and just learn about if anything, if Snapshot is doing anything to sort of like overcome that problem or incentivize people to vote more. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think that the problem of participation in the DAO governance is one of the biggest ones when it comes to like the efficiency and the decision-making process and the decentralized flat organizations. And it is really difficult. It is partially a social problem. It is partially a problem of overload and people joining multiple different DAOs, not really being engaged, participating mainly because of the current hype, which is not really motivating them to be really the impactful actor of the direction that the organization is taking. But there are several different solutions that has been already implemented. There's also one really interesting solution coming up as well, which I can talk about a tiny little bit. But as for the current solutions, what can be done is, for example, a POAP plugin that we have on Snapshot. Which is rewarding the users for casting a vote with a POAP, so the proof of participation, which for many users is really interesting, and they like to show that they're active members of the community. The other thing is the DAO strategy themselves that we did with Cabin, with gathering the community and doing the vote together. And actually, when it comes to the incentives, this is something that's currently not implemented apart from the POAP part. However, I can already say that we are working on a solution which will enable that. Of course, it's not about buying the votes and saying like, if you vote yes, you'll get 20 ETH. It's more about the participation in a proposal, so that the proposal's creators can encourage the community to actually take part in the voting and push the community forward.
Got it. Super excited to hear that and looking forward to the new solutions coming up. Yeah, Devika, over to you.
Zeus, I want to jump to a topic that is super close to you and something that you're super passionate about. You're a teacher at surgewomen. And for those of you who don't know, it's an organization which is female-led, creating educational solutions for newcomers and organizations in Web3. Zeus, what I wanted to ask you was, I would love to talk about how you got involved in the project and why is that something that matters to you?
So, very special project for me. So to give you a bit of my own background, I'm a software developer, currently a developer relations person, but I'm also a teacher, and I used to teach coding for the last 4 years or so, in an in-person setup, online setup, and I'm really passionate about that because, like, for me, the best reward is when I see people grow and when I see their satisfaction of moving forward and really overcoming the obstacles or the never-ending bugs in the code, and the satisfaction that comes after a horrible frustration is a really beautiful thing to see. And after I moved into Web3, I just started joining multiple different communities, which were all about learning, collaboration, supporting each other. And also one of our friends, Juliette Chevalier, who is one of the co-founders of surgewomen, was one of the obvious people to go to and to connect with in the space. And after some time, Serge basically reached out to me with the project, or like we were just chatting, and they said that they are looking for a teacher. So for me, obviously, it was just the thing that I would really love to do, and I jumped onto the project, worked with the team together on developing the syllabus for the course, the content, recording the entire thing, and what is actually important is that this course is not only for women; it's also open to anyone. But of course, the main target group are women in Web3. And as for women in Web3, women in technology in general, I've been in tech for around 5 years now. And truth is that for majority of time, I was usually the only woman in the team, especially in my first job, which was like 5 years ago. And for many people, it's kind of normal, right? Because the tech side of things is for men. Women are more into like the creative jobs, more soft skills driven. They are not so nerdy as guys. And truth is, I disagree. I don't think any side is more nerdy or is more creative. I think it's really up to an individual. But this image of women in society is the non-tech personas. I think is very difficult to overcome. And I've been mentoring women for some time already in the Web2 space, and I know that they need a lot of support and a lot of encouragement to believe in themselves and to get more confidence, because they do have the skills. And to be honest, usually they are much better, maybe not usually, but in many cases they're actually much better than men when it comes to solving the problems, and also sometimes dealing with frustration. So I've been working with women for many years now, and have seen amazing transformations, which are just like warming my heart every time I think about it. And when I entered Web3 space, I felt like everything started from scratch again. And actually also now I'm part of a Solidity bootcamp, where we have around, I think, like 80, 90 students. And if you go through the Zoom screen, you can mainly see men. There are only a couple of other women in the group. And I think there is still so much work to be done when it comes to increasing the participation of women, who can actually provide a lot of value to the community. They can come with different personalities, with different approach towards problem solving, towards communication. And I think having more of a balance between men and women can actually push the space much more forward. So that's why also participating in this project, being part of the surgewomen community, is very special for me, and I hope it was able to make an impact, and still will continue to do so that we can get actually more women learning about the more techie stuff.
That is so amazing. How I entered Web3 was I started trading NFTs, but at that point I also met this, the previous founder I was working with, Dana, and she said she started this organization called Unblocked, and that was about educating women about the Web3 space so that they can leverage it. And the reason is, like you said, male in tech in general is such a male dominant industry, and Web3 started, we could see that entire thing happen all over again. And just because we use this technical jargon, people feel like it's not for me. But if you actually go on to explain them how simple and how amazing and how revolutionary the technology here is, they can, really change their lives and change the trajectory of their careers. So I think it's so amazing, this initiative that you are a part of. How does one get involved?
In the Surgewomen course?
Yep.
It is available to buy. I think there are also some discount codes flying around, and it's, I think, around 30-40 hours of content with me talking a lot on very short videos, which are super easy to consume, with additional content, with slides, with written content, with additional resources.
Right.
Discord support panel. And you can buy it directly from surgewomen.io, where you'll see the landing page with the CTA button to go and buy the course.
That is amazing. Guys, I'm dropping a link in the chat for Surge Women's Twitter, and you can just browse through all the links that they've shared. Thank you, Zeus. This was absolutely amazing. Let us hop onto community questions. We are running a little bit short on time, so I will quickly pick them up. Cool. We have this question from Marathon Mind. Thank you for your question. He says, what's your take on NFT based voting? Has coin voting run its course? How effective is NFT against civil issues?
Well, I think it's a more complex question because it's purely up to the space. What are the strategies used for the voting process? And what I would always suggest is to combine multiple different voting strategies, which allow you to to check whether the user actually has an NFT that the space is requiring, but maybe also combine with other tokens with a minimum amount of ETH. And what was the other part of question? So how effective is NFT based against civil issues? NFT voting strategies are not really Sybil proof alone. What you can do is to use the validation strategies, which can be also using other voting strategies. So for example, the amount of other tokens, you can check for the activity of the user using the Gitcoin passport. So actually having a more complex approach will be much more effective in this case.
Amazing. Thank you so much for taking that up. We have one more question by Praful. Thank you for your question, Praful. He says, why Snapshot decided to have ENS domain as the only way to create Snapshot space instead of having wallet address or any other Web3 method?
So this is one of the steps that we require to make sure that the DAO spaces are actually possible to verify. So we want to make sure that there is a human standing behind it, and that we don't die in the overload of fake spaces, which don't require kind of any other interaction buying an actual ENS domain. And ENS is actually a standard in the industry, and for now we never had any issues with someone complaining that they would like to create a space with just the wallet only or using a different solution.
Thank you so much for taking up our community questions, Zeus. We are at the end of our session. I just want to say thank you and how grateful we are to learn from you. And I feel like there's so many things that I want to dive into deeper, but we can always do a next session. And we actually end up hosting a roundtable once every 2 months where all the guests we've hosted on our podcast, we bring them together and get them to connect with each other and just have one of the most amazing conversations with some practical, tangible output. So I'll give you more of a briefing there, but I just wanted to say thank you. Any closing thoughts?
Thank you so much. Super glad to hop on the roundtable. Super excited and interested at how actually a group of people can easily talk on a Zoom call, because I don't think I had ever been on a Zoom call when it was a smooth and easy process. So would love to see that. And yeah, thank you so much for having me. Lots of great questions. I hope that now you people will go and vote on Snapshot and support your organizations in the governance. And also keep an eye out for the upcoming updates, because there's some quite interesting things coming up for Snapshot soon.
Absolutely. This was absolutely phenomenal. Thank you everyone for joining. Adit, Astronaut, Amanik, Math09, Pritish, Praful, Sugandh. You guys are amazing. Have a beautiful Sunday, Wednesday evening, and see you for our next one. Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.